Hi everyone, Annette Kessler here with the new video tutorial, and today we're continuing with our mini album tips and creating mini albums with no binding. So we need a 7x12 black cardstock, and we're going to score it at 4, 4 1/4, 8 3 1/4, and 9. And like I always say, if you don't have a trimmer and a bone folder, you can just use a ruler and another scoring tool that you have on hand. Just making the last score line. Now we need two 4 1/4 by 12 black cardstock pieces, and we're going to score them every 3 inches. So that means 3, 6, and 9 inches. And we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. These are going to be the sides. We're going to add little accordions on the sides of our wallet. So these are the pieces we're going to use for that. So now we can go ahead and fold all our score lines. And somebody asked me once, why do I use the bone folder? So you can use your fingers if you don't have a bone folder, but it's very important to burnish the folds because that teaches the paper where it needs to go. So that makes sure that anything that you want to move later will work properly and smoothly. If the folds are not burnished, then the movement might not be perfect or not move properly at all. So that's why it's important to burnish the folds. So I've folded everything. And you see that we have allowed for some volume with the 2 spines that we've created. And this is, no, not like this. The smaller part goes on top like this. So this is our wallet, and these are 2 accordions that are going to go on the side. So now I'm going to attach them. Simply apply glue to the back side of the last flap, and then glue it in the center between the 2 fold lines, aligning it with the left edge like this. And then we're going to attach the right accordion exactly the same way in between the 2 score lines and aligned with the right edge. That's my hair. Sorry about that. Okay, so basically our wallet clutch mini album is now ready, and all we need to do is start covering it with cover papers. So for that, you would need 12 pieces measuring 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. And these go on our 2 accordions. And I always like to use papers from the same collection so they all match. And I'm using graphic 45 papers, and I've cut a few different patterns, and I want my accordions to basically almost be identical, so I'm attaching the same pieces on the right and the left, just so it will be symmetrical. You can of course choose to put different papers all together on each side just to make it more interesting, or non-symmetrical. It's up to you what kind of design that you want. So this center piece that I've attached is going to be different on the other side. I just made it different so it won't be completely identical. Now to cover the center, we need two pieces, one for the front and one for the back, measuring 6 7/8 by 4 3/8. And this will look really pretty because it covers all the accordions. And we also need two pieces for the bottom, measuring 3 7/8 by 6 7/8, one for the front and one for the back. You can see that I'm not attaching anything on the score lines. And then we need two pieces measuring 2 7/8 by 6 7/8 for the front and the back. Now I want to make a pocket for the center, so I have 2 inches by 7 7/8 piece that I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. This will allow me to fold on all 3 sides and then create a pocket that I can put stuff inside. Inserts, photos, journaling cards. Cut the corners, and this is where it's going to go. So I'm applying glue on the 3 tabs, attaching them to the bottom. Be careful not to cover the score line. We want the entire mini album to fold properly. Now we can go ahead and attach the cover papers, but first we need a magnet so the clutching will be closing properly. So I'm going to attach it, remove the sticky backing, attach it to the center here, and then cover it with my cover paper. And then the other magnet is going to go on the front. I'm going to show you exactly where. So with magnets it's really easy to align them because the second one will find the first one no problem. You just need, oops, see, it just found it. So just if you don't have, these magnets already come with a sticky back, but if you don't have a sticky back, then simply apply glue and then let it find its friend. So these are, I think I've attached it on the wrong side, so what I'll do, I'll put glue on the other side, let it find its counterpart, and then I'm going to cover it with my cover paper. Doesn't really matter because I need glue on both sides of the magnet, one for the bottom and one for the top paper, so I'm still good. Okay, so basically our clutch paper wallet mini album is ready. Just going to cover the back and then I'll open it and show you how it turned out. Okay, this is a really cute mini album. So we can open it like this, and then we have our 2 accordions that open to both sides, and then we have our pocket in the center for extra photos and journaling cards. And just forgot to say that in that pocket you can insert whatever you want. So if you have pieces, leftover pieces, you can fold them like this, make a little accordion or a little flap to insert in that pocket and fill it with photos. And I covered everything on the accordions and on the inside with papers, and you can of course cover it with photos instead, or you can make a combination with the photos and the papers, so that's up to you. Don't forget that the purpose is to fill it with photos. Next we're going to make a squash mini album that also has no binding whatsoever. So you'll need 6 papers measuring 6 by 6 from double-sided cardstock, and what we're going to do is fold the paper in half, open it, and fold it in half again. Then open it and fold it diagonally, corner to corner. We're going to do that with 3 of our pages. So you can play with the colors and the patterns of the papers that you use. You can use solid color pattern papers, but make sure not to use papers with writing or a pattern that has a direction. Here you need papers that with no direction on the pattern. What we're going to do now is create the squash shape. Basically, you insert the diagonal folds inside and direct the paper to close into a square shape. It actually kind of does it by itself because of the folds. If you want to change the direction of how the paper closes, then you simply need to change the direction of the fold lines. All the folds that were towards the inside should be towards the outside, and then you'll get the paper to close in another direction. All depends on what pattern you want to show. So now we're going to attach them together. Apply glue on the right corner or square and attach the next paper. Make sure to align it with the fold lines so it will be able to close properly. And then you do the same thing with the third paper, attaching it to the second paper. Again, make sure that it closes properly. It's aligned with the fold lines. Basically, this is the mini album. It's really fast and easy to make. Now you just need to guide the paper, make sure that it goes where you want it to go, and open and close it a few times so the paper will know where to go. So the next thing is to add our cover papers. And the cover papers are really easy to make. Basically what you have are 3 by 3 inches square. So what you need to do is cut the remaining 3 papers that you have into squares, taking away 1/4 of an inch. That means that all the squares should be 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just make 12 squares like that with the 3 remaining papers that you have. I always use a trimmer to cut paper, but you can also use a craft knife and a ruler. But a trimmer is much faster and much easier. Now you also need triangles. So what you're going to do is take 2 squares of each pile. That would be 6 squares. Align them and cut them diagonally from corner to corner to create triangles. Now basically you are ready to cover the inside of your mini album. And now it's time to just play and mix and match the patterns that you have on your papers. You can cover, let's say, the blue pattern only with the green pattern. You can mix it with red. You can mix the solid colors with the patterns. You can just play around and have fun and make sure that it's bright and colory. Now, instead of cover papers, you can add photos. You simply cut them in the same size, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and instead of attaching cover papers, simply attach the photos that you want. You can even attach triangle shaped photos As long as you have photos that can be cut into a triangle shape without removing anyone's head or other limbs. That is really fun. So I'm just mixing and matching my patterns, making sure that looks nice. And then I'm going to attach them all to my mini album. You will have 2 squares remaining because we don't have actually 12 squares because we have attached the papers together, so some squares are attached one to the other. But it's always good to have spares in case you want to change something, or you didn't glue it properly, or it tore, or it whatever reason. It's always good to have spares. Also, we were going to make a cover, so we will need these 2 remaining squares for our cover in case we want to embellish it or make it nicer. So you will use all the shapes that you pre-cut. So you can see I'm mixing and matching and changing the order of my shapes, attaching them to my squash mini album. Another thing is that I've made 3 papers here, but you can make it 4, 5, 6. It can be larger mini album, longer, of course it will be longer when you open it, but basically there is no limit to the number of papers that you can attach together. So if you want to add lots of photos, then go ahead and make more folded papers to add to your mini album and make it bigger. It's up to you how long you want it to be. So I'm just finishing attaching my triangles. As you can see, I have no particular order of attaching them, just adding colors and patterns to my mini album, making it look colorful and nice. So green on green, I'll leave it like that without any triangle. Okay, so my inside of the mini album is now ready. Let's fold it. And now it's time to make our cover. Now for the cover, you will need 2 chipboard squares, 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 chipboard, and we're going to cover them with some of the papers. I'm using the same papers from the paper collection that I've used, and I'm going to attach the chipboard to the paper, leaving around 1.5 inches around the edges of the chipboard. Now I'm going to fold all the sides. This will help glue the paper better, because when we guide the paper where it needs to go, it tends to stay there. Now I'm going to remove the corners. Now when you remove the corners, leave a tiny bit of a gap between the corner of the chipboard and the edge of the paper, around 1 or 2/16 of an inch, and that will help us make a really professional looking corner when we wrap it around the chipboard. Now apply glue on opposite sides like this, and now I'm using my bone folder. You can use your fingernail to squash or insert the edge of the paper towards the corner of the chipboard, and that will give us that professional looking corner that we want. Now you can go ahead and glue the other 2 sides, and you see how it looks, the beautiful corner. And now we have wrapped one part of our cover, and we're going to do the exact same thing with the other chipboard. Now we're going to glue the mini album to the cover, apply the glue on the front and back pages of the mini album, and when you attach them, align them with all four edges of the cover. Really quick and simple. Now the last thing that I want to do is add a ribbon and a front and back cover papers, so I'll have a nice closure for my mini album. So I have here a ribbon. I think 12-inch long of ribbon will be enough. I'm attaching it to one side, and then taking the two remaining squares, remember those, attaching them to the front. This way the front and the back cover will look nicer, and they'll also hold and hide the ribbon. So they have two jobs here. Now on the other side, attach the second ribbon and cover it with your cover paper. This is a really cool project, and like I said, you can make it as long or as short as you want. Add photos, add journaling, or just have fun creating it. So I'm just tying the ribbon to see that it's not too long, and cutting the edges off. So I think this is a really cool mini album. It can also be a card, but you can have photos here and here, and it's really cool. So next we're going to make a maze mini album. What you need to cut is 7 squares. Again, you have all the measurements in the link in the description below the video. So you need to use double-sided cardstock and pre-cut those 7 squares. And you might know this project as a maze card, but we're going to add a special feature that allows it to be a mini album, and that is spines. Once we add the spines, it allows us to add the photos in without the mini album becoming too bulky. All the squares are marked with letters from A to G, and we're going to start with the square C, and we're going to first start by scoring at 3.5 and then at 3 5/8. Our first few spines are going to be 1/8 of an inch wide, and again I remind you, you have all the measurements that you can download free of charge in the link in the description under the video. Next, for square D, again we're going to make an 1/8 of an inch spine, and we're going to do that with all our squares so we can have more room to add our photos and even some cover papers. And now square E, we're already going up to 1/4 of an inch spine, and that would also allow us to do all the folding and the closing of the mini album without making it too bulky. For our last square, which is square G, we're going to score at 5.5 and 5 3/4. Again, 1/4 of an inch spine. For our first 2 squares, A and B, we are only going to score them in the middle without making any spine for them, because they're the first ones that are going to be folded, so we don't need to allow for more room on these 2 little squares. So you can use your scoreboard or just fold them in half. And you also have a supply list in the description, so you'll know what you need to make this great project. So now that we have all our squares scored, we can go ahead and start folding them according to the score lines that we made before. And always use a bone folder to burnish your folds. Now the way we are attaching all of them, you have to decide which side you want up. We're going to fold our square and then place the next square horizontally on our desk. Apply glue to the bottom of our first square and attach it to the next square while the fold line is towards the bottom, like this. And then you simply go on to attach all other squares. So square C is going to be attached to square B. And what we're going to do is take square B, fold it in half, align it with square C while the fold is towards the bottom or the right. Apply the glue on the bottom of square B and attach it. So we are starting from the smallest square and then going on according to the sizes of the squares and attaching them. Always make sure that they open where they want them to open. Next, square C is going to be attached to square D. Again, you need to fold them first, both of them. And you have spines here, so you have two fold lines, so you need to fold them both and burnish them with your bone folder. You see the spine? It gives you the space that you need to add the photos. So you align it with square D, apply glue to the bottom of square C and attaching it to square D. And this is how you go on. Always make sure align it with all the edges and the center fold line to make sure that all the edges around and all the spaces are equal. And then you see, always check that it opens correctly. And then you simply go on and attach all squares. Since I have different patterns on both sides of my cardstock, I always try first to see how it looks on each side, and then I decide which side I want to attach and which side I want to be visible. So I'm folding on both squares, applying glue to the bottom, and then attaching it to the larger square. So the only thing that we've changed here from the maze card is adding those spines. And that can be a really great brag book, a mini album, and it can still be a card. You can still write things in it and combine it with your photos as well. So it can be a card, a mini album, or both. It's a great gift, by the way. You can put it in an envelope and send it in the mail. So that's really cool. Again, apply your glue to the bottom and attach it like this, aligning it with the edges and the fold lines in the center. And look how it looks great. I love it. And finally, this is our last square. Let's fold it on the other fold line as well. Here you have 1/4 of an inch spine already. Okay, let's see on which side to attach. This is the right side. So we apply glue to the bottom and then attaching it to our square. Now the next step, what I did is I cut some cover papers, which also you have their measurements in the cutting guide and instruction that you can download from the link in the description under the video. You can add photos, you can add cover papers, you can combine them. It's really up to you. So basically the cover paper phase is optional. You don't have to do it, only if you want to. I'm just adding them to create more contrast and add more color and show you how it can look. But it's absolutely optional. And I'm not adding cover papers to all the sides and all the pages, just some of them where I want more contrast and more color. And I always align it with the edges to make sure it looks really pretty. And again, instead of cover papers, you can add photos. You have lots of room for photos, for journaling, for cover papers. You can mix and match and give it your own personal touch and design. You can do the entire mini album from solid color papers and then add pattern papers, or you can mix and match solid papers and cover papers and pattern papers. You can just go ahead and play with the papers that you have in your stash. So I'm adding solid color where there is pattern, and pattern where there is too much solid color, so I can mix and match and change how it looks. So basically our maze mini album is complete. I really like how it turned out. I think this is a really cool no binding mini album. So I really hope you like all these 3 no binding mini albums tutorials, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the little bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video, so you won't miss anything and you'll be able to make all the projects. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.